Thank you, Ms. Summerlot. I want to thank all of our witnesses today for your valuable testimony on this important hearing. And I especially want to thank GAO for their thorough work to dig into some of the concerns raised by the subcommittee. And now we'll proceed to question and answer session by the members of the subcommittee. And I'll begin by recognizing myself. Mr. Arkin, you mentioned in your testimony that GAO found that states are not reporting complete information about TANF expenditures, and most states lacked transparent reporting on subgrantees. For example, in your testimony, you said 7 out of 31 states did not provide or had incomplete narrative explanations of non-assisted spending for FY 2022. This is extremely concerning because otherwise it's like a black box that we don't know how much behind what categories a state spends in. So my question is, your report provides recommendations for HHS, but are there any legislative recommendations you would make to improve transparency of state non-assistance spending so we can know the impact of the dollars and where they're actually being spent at?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chairman. Short answer, yes, we do. And the issue is most of the reporting requirements in the law apply to assistance spending and actually prohibit HHS from collecting information on non-assistance spending because it's not a specific statutory authority provided in the law. So we think information that allows HHS to ask states to discuss what are they planning to do in the non-assistance area and to whom are they going to provide the funds. You mentioned the subrecipient issue. That's something that would help not just with oversight of spending, but also potentially help HHS provide an estimate of improper payments. It's really key information for them to be able to do that.
Thank you for that, Mr. Arkin. I'll next turn to Ms. Laren. Our subcommittee has spent a significant amount of time looking at federal child welfare spending. Last year, Ranking Member Davis and I worked to pass a bill to reauthorize the Title 4B Child Welfare Program. One of the things we focused on was having in place the right data and performance reporting so we can see the quality of services and impact on families. According to GAO's recent report, TANF now constitutes approximately 1/4 of total federal child welfare spending, eclipsing state funding through the Title 4B program. To you, Ms. Laren, do you have data about the specific demographics of the children in foster care funded by TANF as we do in the Title 4B program?
You know, states are collecting data on the demographics of all the children they serve in their child welfare programs. So at the state level, that data does exist. But going back to one of the main findings of our report, data on non-assistance TANF funding, there are no federal reporting requirements. So even if that information is available at the state level, it's not being reported either to the state TANF agency or to HHS. So no, the answer is it's, you know, at the state level, they may be able to disaggregate which children are being served by TANF versus 4E or 4B, but that information is not reported up in a way that makes it easily accessible.
And do you have a recommendation on either a statutory change on fixing that reporting requirement?
Yeah, this really goes back to the recommendation that we made to Congress to give HHS more oversight authority, which would include more robust reporting requirements for non-assistance spending.
Thank you for that. Mr. Dalkin, I'll turn to you. In your testimony, you said GAO found nearly 1/3 of TANF audit findings were characterized as material weaknesses. The most severe category of findings that was made. As you know, one of the long-standing recommendations made by GAO is to measure and report improper payments in the TANF program. Would applying improper payments reporting to TANF help address or minimize these repeated audit findings, and how are these two related?
Thank you for your question. I believe it would be a little of each because a material weakness could have a financial implication or it could be related to controls. Improper payments relate more to the dollars. And so for the portion of the TANF issues that are material weaknesses related to dollars, that could be subject to the improper payments analysis. For the other portion that relate to the lack of internal controls, it wouldn't fall under the improper payments.
Thank you. Mr. Bagdoyan, in your testimony, you stated that HHS's fraud risk assessment portal does not have the functionality to assess and determine the magnitude of each fraud risk facing TANF. From your perspective, what are the key components to efficient fraud risk management, particularly as it relates to putting in place the right processes and technology?
Great. Thank you for your question. Mr. Chairman, the fundamentals are captured in this document, which is GAO's fraud risk framework. It's been around for 10 years or so. This is what we benchmark fraud risk management at agencies, and it includes fraud risk assessments, defining the likelihood and the impact of these risks. So it begins with an entity that takes the lead in conducting fraud risk management, doing fraud risk assessments, crafting a strategy and implementing that, and then measuring back to see how effective that strategy has been and making adjustments. But a fraud risk assessment that gets at what you mentioned is at the core, and technology such as deep data analytics can help get an agency to that point.
Thank you for that. That concludes my question.